Damn. Hold on, let me get back.
Yeah, there you are.
Whoa. I don't know if we're supposed to do the long ways or.
I've never done it on the phone so far, so that's okay. Kind of I'll cross that bridge if I ever get there. First things first, you're about to have your first fight of the year. We're not long away from it. How do you feel right now?
Definitely feel good. And as you said and stated, it's the first one out of the whole year, and it's basically to get my feet wet with a game opponent. So it's honestly exciting. I'm excited. And I know the people around me have just been like waiting on what was next. And right now it's the road to $1 million. And, and then we'll figure out everything else when I get there. And clearly we want more than $1 million, but it's the road to get.
Don't we all?
Facts.
I do want to talk about your opponent on this segment because a big selling point of this fight so far has been that you're both UFC veterans. How do you feel about that matchup? I know that you fought more regularly than he has in the past 5 or so years, we'll say, even though he's kind of started back up. So overall, how do you feel matched up against this guy?
Truly, when it comes to it, fact is, like I stated, I know that he's all game, but it's kind of in my wheelhouse, and I feel like I match up really, really great in the situations, like more favored on my, my side. You got to think about it, my size, my reach, my range, the whole thing. And I know he just got done fighting Dotson not too long ago, which was actually a pretty exciting fight that I ended up watching, another 2 UFC vets. But for him to be my first comeback, it's pretty awesome. And, like how you stated, he's been like, it's kind of like a delay on his like fighting game and everything, but he came back and had basically a legit awesome fight. So now it just kind of comes down as in where me and him are at, and by it being my first comeback, I know it's supposed to be the jitters and stuff like that. But I've been moving and working with like really great people, and it's been nothing but kind of being pushing forward because I don't know what organization is going to end up picking me up after this, or Triller might just end up trying to sign me all the way through, But it's like I stated, road to $1 million, what is what. But we are out here fishing, and that's what I'm doing.
So does Triller have you on a deal like the UFC would, where it's a certain number of fights that they've signed you for up front, or you kind of alluded to there might be a next step with them after this? What's that situation?
Might be a next step after him, but I don't want to say like I signed because I've been picky. I had a lot of opportunities, a lot of ones. It was just like the last minute ones with nothing to follow up, like Bellator was offered. Eagle was offered, PFL. So it was kind of like one of those situations, but it was like the last minute or type ordeal. And it was some other ones like out of my fight class, but there was nothing to follow. Like Eagles at 155 would have been fun. I would have tested the water, but with the 10-day notice, it's like, nah, So it's little, like I said, it's like little things like that. But when it comes with Triller, it's kind of testing the waters with it and see, one, if I love the venue, 2, if we can end up making it bigger or go bigger, because they're trying to open and brand things, and for me being part of it, it's pretty cool, but you can definitely tell it's more heavier on the boxing side, and the Triad, they're trying to blend it, but all you gotta do is constantly keep selling the fights, and as long as they keep selling, and like me, I am a fighter, I'm a seller, I'm excited, I'm entertained, and people will come, so stuff like that will end up changing the view of viewers and stuff like that.
I like the way you close that out, because I wanted to get to this. This is going to be a big event for Triller. They brought in their Triad Combat, and there was some controversy last time out with Pulev and Mir. So do you feel like with this great fight that they've got lined up for you, that you're kind of going to prove to those fans out there that have been skeptical that this is the real deal?
Oh, 100%. And that was the goal from the gate. Because one, they had like really great like hosts. They had Snoop Dogg and Nick Cannon, and not only that, it was MMA versus boxing. And reality, that was good. like, don't get me wrong, it was cool. It brought the attention, but you got to end up looking at it with the boxing and MMA. It's kind of like oversighted to one side, and that was with the Frank Mir. It was more floated on the other guy's side. But now, if you end up mixing and blending it, like a good, great striker, like say for argument's sake, Anders de Silva, like if he came over into the trial, it would make sense because he actually has legit freaking good boxing. And it doesn't just seem like he just jumped over there. No, he has good boxing. He does his thing. So if you put him in with another boxer about the same age, roughly the same, or just as good, or whatever the case is, and he's just a boxer, it fits. So I think it's just about, making the fight actually match. Because if you catch it where it's just one-sided, you already know fans are going to be like, ooh, because they want to see knockouts, but after is what they're saying, and at the end of the day with Triad, if you have, like, for argument's sake, they know that I'm a boxer-sized striker, but at the same time, my opponent is a striker. He's aggressive with his hands. It's one of those things. It makes sense, especially since it was two UFC vets. Makes sense. Now, if they had the boxing with the same thing, if it was a boxer with another boxer that thought about dipping or not even dipping, or, that could be their easy transition into the whole MMA game. So it could be, hey, we have a boxer, we'll put you in another boxer, and, we'll see how it goes, do a few, and then ship you over. But if they constantly keep doing it that way I'm going to end up speaking, Triad automatically blows up, and then I can be one of the face that ended up bringing it, just like I ended up saying. It's like, oh, Triad, they had such and such. Oh, they had Andre Ewell. He did his thing, little small things like that.
And you're fighting local. I know last time we talked, you mentioned that you'd been interested in getting on a card in California. Here you are. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm excited. I'm excited about that. I basically, when you end up getting into the whole UFC, it's kind of like hard, especially when the COVID kind of kicked in. Like, people want to come to the fights, and they're always asking, when's your next fight? Where's it going to be? I'm trying to go. And it's like, oh, I'm over here in South Dakota or Brazil, or, et cetera. We can constantly keep basically picking new states and everything. And it doesn't make sense, So it kind of like floats into that. I'm home. People are going to want to come. People will be able to sit there and see, because, they always sit there and see me on TV, and they get that whole, oh, I know them. But in reality, if they're able to be there and say, hey, I was there, and again, it brings me back to the old days. Like, one where I had to end up hustling for things, and at the same time, I get to perform in front of the people that actually love me, not just, hey, if you win, then they send you a good, happy message of, yeah. And then if you lose, it's talking mess or talking shit or whatnot. And I come across a few of them that's always had my back, and those are the ones that been having my back since the gate.
So you're at featherweight this time. That's still 145 pounds, right? Nothing's changed there?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Nothing changed. All the weights in there is basically the same. So, like, breaking it down, it's a lot of MMA rules and everything, but just only 30 boxing and boxing.
Yeah. I know. I knew that boxing featherweight is in the 20s, and I saw that. Yeah. I thought, there is no way you might even want to try to make that at this point, right? Especially because you just moved up from 35.
Yeah, that's what they already know. And I've been telling my manager just like that, like, hey, like, don't even think about me dropping weight. And that's like another few times that I got called out, like, hey, they want you to cut down to 35 in 7 days. And it's like, nah, it has to be worth it. Like, what's happening? Like, for argument's sake, if it was, hey, we want to resign you to fight Cheetah. All right, I go back. We already had that one. And that would be the only reason I'll drop down, because, I owe my ass whooping. Like, nothing but points to him, but I owe my ass whooping. So that'll be the only fight that I'll low-key go back to at 35. But if the fight makes sense, I'll drop. But if it doesn't, then I clearly, with time, I have to have a good time. But if it doesn't, nah, it's 145. Catch me there, and at 45, it makes sense for me.
What sort of improvements in your overall game have there been as you've gotten ready, and what you're expecting to see this next time out?
Definitely been working nothing but wrestling. And I know that wrestling is going to transfer over pretty well in this, because it's dirty boxing with a lot of grappling type ordeal. And I end up seeing them doing that, like, It's like, yeah, it's going to be hands, and I know he's going to be hands. This missing probably going to kick all the way in. It's going to be there, you know. And that's the good part about it, is that I have my side of my black pride as well. So it'll end up jumping in where we'll definitely be going at it. But it's that aggression, because as soon as I'm done, done with this fight, it's basically what's next. And I know that they have like certain things lined up for me. I can't really speak on at this moment, but I got other stuff like lined up. But but if it ends up floating in the right direction, we're always working my wrestling, because it's strong boxing with great wrestling, and and they already know that I've definitely been rolling, so everything ends up mashing together. So if I ever get that call, that's a good call with Bellator, PFL, back UFC, and my favorite one championship. Like, hey, it makes sense. We'll make it happen, especially Eagle too.
If MMA is maybe something that, or if you enjoy just the throwing down aspect of Triad so much, as I really expect you will, are you open to maybe taking up some boxing matches in the near future?
Oh, definitely. Or to the fact is, I'll go to bare knuckle, and people don't think I'll do it. It's just like, if the fight makes sense in the numbers, because like I said, they're doing pretty well by handing out good. It's just, are you able to sell? So again, me, that's probably like a good fit for like a next fight after this fight, But hands down, like you stated, I like to throw hands. Hands are awesome. And hey, I'm just that type of guy. I'm that wild bunch,
If you have a lot of control, over it, how many fights would you like us to see you in 2022?
My bad for the alarm. Okay, my bad. You said how many fights for the rest of this year?
Right.
I'm aiming for, let me see, we're barely in July, and you guys already missed me for like 6 months, or about to be 6 months. So I'll go ahead and say, give me at least 4 more after this. So in other words, if I'm able to equal out 5 for the rest of this year, that's what I'm aiming for. I'm better when I'm busy. That's just me being real. Like I stated to everybody, and I apologize to everybody about this. Like last year, 2021, I lost a lot. And it wasn't just in the cage. I was beat before I even had there. It was an emotional, basically emotional breakdown that I had, and mentally it wasn't all there. And I was thinking that fighting was going to fix all that, but it didn't. It just brought more stress into the situation. That I lost the fiance, lost a lot. Basically, I lost a lot of stuff. Okay, but we're back on to the whole page, because at the beginning of this year, it was a whole build. It was a build back my brain, my confidence, and me being me, me being strong and, mentally here. And so again, when I end up stating like this fight is going to be honestly bigger than people know, it's that I've been gone for a while trying to find myself. And I believe that I definitely found myself in the back, So yeah, so this fight's really big in emotional state of mind, So yeah.
That wraps up what I had for you for this interview, man. I appreciate you coming back on. It's been great talking with you about this. I'm excited about this new journey for you, and for you to put Triad Combat on the map. So I appreciate you again, and thanks for keeping it real like always. Best of luck.
Hey, thank you, man. Until next time, okay?
Absolutely.
This whole time I thought we were supposed to interview this earlier this week, and I was like, hey, forgot about it. But yeah, so I'm glad we got this down there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, see you.